what it takes to get into the Sanctions Officer job. In today's Q&A, we will uncover some important aspects you want to keep in mind if you are trying to get into the Sanctions Officer role. In my one-on-one discussion with my guest, Ersin Senel, we will review some day-to-day activities, clarify how this role fits within the broader financial crime team structure, and many more interesting info for those of you that are considering or that are applying for this role. So let's jump right into today's video. Hi Ersin, how are you today?
I'm fine. Hello Marco, how are you?
Yeah, all good on my side. Thank you for taking part in these Q&A sessions. And before we dive into our Q&A, could you please maybe share with our viewers your background and let us know what you're up to in these days?
Of course, for sure. Hi again. This is Ersin. I'm an ethics and compliance professional based in Istanbul, Turkey. I was trained as an economist and did my graduate study on political science, and I do have experience of over 9 years through roles including business, education, government, and media sectors. I worked in mostly in audit and compliance and controlling sort of roles, and currently I'm working as the sanctions compliance supervisor for a prominent financial institution in Turkey. And besides, I'm continuing my master's study within the field of internal audit and risk management to develop specific knowledge on the matter.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your background. And since this role is something that people are very interested to apply, especially in the early stage of their careers in anti-money laundering and financial crime, perhaps you can share with our viewers what happened at the interview stage when applying for the sanctions officer role. Is there like a key topic that candidates should make sure to cover with the hiring manager when they go through their first interviews?
There is for sure. First of all, currently given the definition such as lines of defense in the understanding of auditing and other controlling sort of jobs, some compliance roles may include internal control related tasks as well, and through the segregation of duties perspective, this comes with its pros and cons. Personally, I may suggest sanctions officers should deal with specifically duties within the field of AML compliance, but you need to discuss these thoroughly with your hiring manager, and it might be convenient actually to do such. And you should come with a background, we will talk about this further of course, but you should come with a background as well as an interest on financial crimes related topics to cover sanctions, AML, KYC or CFT sort of roles. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, thanks. And since you mentioned the background, that actually links well with my second question. Is there a specific qualification preferred for applying for this role, and what kind of background, candidate should have in their CV if they want to work as sanctions officers?
Yes, there are many aspects actually. Today in this current world, international sanctions and trade restrictions have, as you know, become a central tool of government's foreign policy. In the process, Western countries increasingly adopted thematic sanctions. Once targets were small countries like Cuba or North Korea, but now it includes major economies such as China or Russia. For example, right now, Russia is the most sanctioned jurisdiction in the world with more than 12,000 singular sanctions that have been applied as of October 2022. So in short, sanctions are now used when diplomacy alone is insufficient, but full military intervention, let's say, is considered too risky. Then sanctions are coming to the scene, and they're seen as a way of trying to change the behavior of the governments, other governments, aggressive ones. And to that extent, any professionals dealing with sanctions should be an avid reader of political developments on a regular basis to contribute to the strategic decision-making processes, let's say. And besides being an economy and finance enthusiast, You should be including crime-related dark sides of them. And beyond these, an academic background within international relations as well as law would be really helpful, in short.
Thank you so much. And in the role that you're doing at the moment, is there like any main software or solution that are used in the day-to-day activity?
There is actually. Thank God they are, because they help a lot. These kind of
Yes.
Solutions, digital ones. Actually, there are right now many vendors that already deployed their own solutions, thanks to the digital technology of today. And some of these provide in-depth insight through a holistic approach. And others may specifically focus on issues to master their abilities on such cases. To summarize, such products cover due diligence and KYC management, as well as suspicious activity monitoring and watch list filtering, such as sanctions, upon the databases that is derived from global intelligence through public sources. Actually, I should underline that they're all publicly available, these information, but it comes with an intelligence, and you should be kind of still having a look to understand thoroughly, because we are doing a job which is mostly done or managed by algorithms or computer technology, but still there are gray topics or gray fields. You should be with a human eye looking through them.
Personally, I've been in the sanctions officer role for a number of years at the beginning of my career in financial crime, so I'm quite familiar with what you are saying, but I think there are lots of valuable points here for our audience, and wanted to get your opinion regarding some pros and cons regarding your role. If you could share those with the viewers, would be great.
First of all, it is a very dynamic job upon the daily changing nature of it. And, sanctions are currently, at least because of the war conditions, it's very dynamic. Moreover, you will come across with many interesting cases, since sanctions evaders are trying real hard to keep their illicit gains as fraudsters. And for such role, you should be, I believe that no single day will be in repetition of prior ones. And you should be devoted, and these kind of devoted people can easily develop their, let's say, in-depth knowledge through their own career. So you can develop a career while learning a lot and seeing a lot of interesting cases. But on the contrary, of course, there are cons, and these cons are pretty obvious, since there are huge risks due to financial, operational, legal, and reputational standpoints. Consequently, poor assessment of underlying risks may result as serious fines or monetary penalties, even judicial terms for some specific cases. And you will be the person who lets them. What if there is a problem with the, let's say, regulatory bodies? Then they will find you as your through your understanding. Why did you let this? Why did you approve this sort of process? Not only personally Ersin, for example, but the institution as well. But my institution will, in short, come and ask me to go through what happened in real. And unfortunately, for some organizations, there lies the work culture that challenges compliance professionals as well as sanctions officers to take wrong decisions and risk themselves through their daily operation. So it comes very important with the culture, work ethics, and who you are working with, and the risk appetite of your company. So I can say that cons are slightly different, changed by the company or the institution you are working with.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And if I can add one more, was particularly a pain for me, the false positive cleaning up exercise. So that was quite a hard way to maintain concentration through big volumes of false positive, and then actually identify the risk when the risk comes up.
False positives still are a huge thing. Even with the digital technology, we are still having a lot of false positives to look thoroughly and go through them.
And would you be able to share perhaps a salary range that is usually offered to people that are keen to get into the sanctions officer role?
Yeah, of course, as far as I know, I'm not
Yes,
looking for
yes.
a job for a long period of time, so I don't know the actual figures, but frankly speaking, the more you distinguish in our field, in all compliance roles as well as sanctions specifically, the more you distinguish yourselves with globally recognized certifications, as you know already, and or foreign languages other than English. English is a must, as one can easily say that. The higher will be your salary. For example, in this current situation, any guy, any person who can speak fluently Russian, for example, will be easily getting more salaries, higher salaries than the job market offers, let's say in average. And average salary has been different for each jurisdiction, for sure. In Turkey and in London, in the UK, there might be a discrepancy. However, it's almost that is why it's almost impossible to give a specific range, pay range, I mean. But in average, an officer as let's say senior role with dealing with sanctions would receive twice, should receive twice the salary of its direct reports, I would say.
What is the next natural career progression from working as a sanctions officer role onwards?
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's a good point to mention. I mean, sanctions, as well as being a specific case or field or discipline, they always go hand in hand with financial crime-related topics. So, to that extent, getting a broad understanding of financial issues would be your pathway in terms of career, and by means of thorough knowledge, I believe that any successful sanctions officer would be a great candidate for the role money laundering reporting officer, which stands for the contact person for any financial intelligence unit of any country. So in Turkey, in London, in the UK, there are financial intelligence units, and all the institutions, as you know, have money laundering reporting officers, in short MLRO, and a sanctions officer could focus on becoming the, let's say, deputy compliance officer or the MLRO for the specific career development understanding.
I think we are towards the end of our interview, so if people from the audience would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way to contact you?
I've been using social media quite often, as anybody in this age, and LinkedIn is my favorite platform in these days. The audience can just write my name, Ersin Senel, and find me on LinkedIn with the title Sanctions Compliance Office Supervisor. However, as well, to raise awareness, I do prepare a monthly newsletter in the field of ethics and compliance for almost 2 years. It is named Junshu, which means compliance in Japanese, and it consists of 2 versions, a detailed one in Turkish delivered through free subscription, and a brief one in English through LinkedIn as well. If the audience would like to subscribe, I will be more than happy. And since it is not for profit and I care a lot as a social responsibility project over it.
Yes, of course. I will also leave a link to your newsletter in the video description of this video. So we are at the end of our Q&A session, and I wanted to thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experience with the viewers on my channel, and I hope we can talk again soon with some updates from your end in the near future on the sanction space.
The pleasure is mine. It was very nice to speak to you, Marco, and I would like to salute the audience, and I hope this war ends easily and our hard, rough days in this current condition would get easier, because now any sanctions officers are working real hard because of the dynamic environment of this war conditions. So I would like to meet you in a better world and better days. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the channel. Thank you. We're now at the end of this video. If my content were useful to you, press the thumb up and leave me your feedback in the comment section right below. Also, remember to check the description to find my Patreon page where you can support the development of my FinCrime Agent project. And lastly, thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed today's Q&A, and until next time, see you soon.